Hey YouTube, welcome to vlog number 8, which is Defer the Drop. This video is from my first ride of the season that was a drop ride. And this particular ride has a lot of riders of different abilities, and I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Because I'm a relative novice when it comes to the higher speed rides, and I was kind of doing a lot of B rides. And this ride has a lot of A riders, and for me, it was it was kind of the edge of my abilities. But again, it's kind of in line with my training goals. I wanted to get stronger. I wanted to average, 19 miles an hour, over an hour. I wanted to bring my power up, and so I started doing these harder rides. And obviously, I make mistakes, and I'm still a noob. So, but I wanted to go over the data that I have, and I kind of wanted to comment on what I think are mistakes that I made, and get some input from you guys if you have any to offer. Now, right off the bat, I make a mistake here. Behind me, there's a bunch of riders. I should have waited for them, at least some of them, to go ahead of me before I started riding here, because right off the bat, the guy in front of me, he's a strong rider, and I'm already facing the wind. I don't hold on to his wheel close enough, and you can kind of see that going into the first stop sign, I'm fighting the wind, and I'm trying to close the gap, and I'm already burning energy when I could have just stayed behind other people and kind of made my life a little bit easier, especially on this day, because in this opening segment, we're headed east, and there was a wind coming out of the east, so that made my life a little bit more difficult. I should clarify that the wind was actually out of the northeast, kind of northeastish direction, so there's a component of the wind coming out of the east, and there's a stronger component coming out of the north, just to be clear on the video going forward. Now at this point I realize, I'd rather be drafting someone, and I'm not interested in closing the gap, and I knew there was other riders behind me, but I figured, let's let a few guys slide ahead of me, and maybe I can slip into the draft. And you'll see how well that works out. It doesn't work out too well. And the reason it doesn't work is because these guys are really strong, and they know how to close gaps, and you can kind of see them surging and closing gaps and moving ahead of me. And just for me, trying to reattach myself behind somebody, I wasn't able to do it. At least it's not in my bag of tricks yet. So, at this point, I think there's either one or two guys behind me, maybe just one. And, I'm facing the reality that I might be dropped, but up ahead there turns out to be a stop sign, so I get a chance to rest my legs and regroup with these guys right before they cross the stop sign. And you'll see me being saved by stop signs and traffic lights a few times in this ride. So technically, if it was just an open thing with no stop signs and no traffic signs, I probably would have gotten dropped right here. And here I am again, getting mini dropped again, only to be stopped by traffic at the end of the street. But again, you can kind of see these other guys are really good at surging and closing these gaps. And there's nothing in my training plan that really helps me do that, and I probably have to tweak it a little bit. And we'll see how it goes, as these rides progress through the season. I hope to post a few more, but at this point, these surges to close gaps, definitely not something in my skills. And look here, there's a bunch of gravel and debris from a construction site. So, you know, one of the pitfalls of road cycling. Some people did call it out from the front of the line, but yeah, definitely not something you want to see on the road. And there's another bit of gradient here and a little bit of a surge, and again another mini drop. But I know there's a traffic light up ahead, so I'm not going too crazy because I figure I can catch them unless there's a green light, so I'm kind of chancing it to get a little bit of a break here. But again, you see these guys just dropping me again, and it's a pretty hard effort. Definitely hard to close that gap. And we're off again, and this time I'm just hoping that maybe I can hang with these guys until we get to the train tracks or a little after. So we'll see how that goes. Goal achieved, made it to the train tracks, and then the next stop is the highway, at which point I do actually make it there. But I did get this far, which is, you know, an accomplishment, at least for me personally. But yeah, we do have to give credit where credit's due, and that's to stop signs and red lights. Now, up ahead, where the next stop sign is about where I get dropped, there's a couple other guys who are back in the group with me. We eventually form a group, but I do try to do a little bit of a solo attempt on the loop ahead, and I do that just to get kind of a Strava PR. But yeah, the next goal in the future will be to try to make it from here, where the highway is, to the firehouse without getting dropped. And I do think that's going to be a hard goal. But the firehouse is where there's a climb, and that climb is where a lot of guys get dropped. So that's going to be my next goal, and we'll see if I get there in the future. But we'll let the ride here continue. Now here's about where I go solo, and you know, I go solo for maybe a mile or two, and the guy in the green jersey is actually really strong, so he closes the gap with me, and his group closes the gap with me. But when I start going north and northeast, that's when the wind really starts to hit me, and I decided to join a group with these guys, because by then my legs are, you know, they're not they're not doing great. But I did get the PR. So it did make this little solo effort kind of worth it. Now this upcoming segment has a firehouse at the top of the hill, and this hill is where I'm hoping to get dropped next time. So just kind of incremental progress to this particular hill. But this hill is where a lot of my friends got dropped on this ride before. So it's this hill, and then there's one other hill on the other side of the loop. And here you go, the strong guy catches up to me. Now he gets ahead of me a little bit, and then he kind of waits for me at the stop sign, and on the wind going back, him and the two guys behind me, we form our group, and then we head back to the starting point of the ride. Now, at this point, I'm in the drops, and I'm riding against a pretty strong headwind. So when I see the other guys closing the gap on me, I'm really glad they're there. So I was really glad to get a tow from them, basically back to the starting point. So my power output drops, and I'm just really glad to be following these other guys. So this is kind of where we rejoin on this road, and the end of this road is the second major spot where guys get dropped, because there's kind of another uphill. But I'm facing an east wind component on the way back here, and the two guys, actually three guys behind me, do catch me on the upslope up ahead, and that's when we regroup. And so my camera runs out of battery just up ahead, and so next time, I hope to do this ride again, and hopefully next time I can get a little bit farther, or maybe I'll do it on a little bit fresher legs, or let's try to make some kind of incremental progress, and I'll upload it to the channel again if it happens. But hopefully you enjoyed this vlog. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please click like or even subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.